Hey guys, I'm here with Coach KJ. No, I'm Coach KJ. I'm here with Kerry L Brooks here today. So Kerry L Brooks is an author. He also has an amazing support group for parents of individuals with autism. So I want to tell you a little bit about Kerry. Of course, I have to read this because he has a long bio. So Kerry L Brooks has worked in federal law enforcement for nearly 30 years, also serving as a diplomat during his time in various countries. His most important roles, however, are those of father and husband. In 2003, the doctor told us, meaning Kerry and his wife, that our 3-year-old son had autism. He added that we should focus on having other children because there was nothing we could do for him. Finally, he said, prepare your son to live in a group home. Today, our son is enrolled in college and living his best life as a productive young adult. We allowed our greatest crisis to become our greatest miracle, and now we provide life strategies and training for others to do the same to support their children. So once again, Kerry has done phenomenal things. He's on the screen somewhere. I see the chairs. But once again, Kerry has done phenomenal things. And one of the things that we're hearing more and more now is that people are hiring autism coaches. Coaches for families. How do they navigate through all the things that they're hearing, all the situations that are going on with their family dynamics, etc. And Kerry has a program that is there to assist families. Kerry, where are you?
I'm here.
Okay.
Doing today. I want to thank you for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate you inviting me on your show. It's a be here and it's a pleasure to speak with you again.
Always, always. Kerry, I see chairs. I don't see you. I see blue chairs and I see autism to autism. There you are. I see you. I feel like peekaboo. I see you.
Great.
Kerry, help us out. Help us out. Thank you once again for being here, but help us out. One of the things that is noted now is there's 1 in 44 children that are being diagnosed with autism. And there are many more, or I'm not gonna say many more, there are more who are not diagnosed. So with that dynamic right now, there are more parents wondering how to move forward. And I know that you have a dynamic program because you were able to move forward beyond what the professionals said, beyond what the advice that was given, the skepticism. You were able to turn it around to something positive, something powerful, and help other parents. So tell us a little bit about what you do, how you do it, Kerry?
Absolutely. One of the things that once our son was diagnosed and we got this advice from the doctor that we had at that particular about there was nothing that we could do, focused on having other children. Basically, he was just telling us, give up on our child. And we definitely did not take his advice, and he was no longer our. But, as we started moving along, started understanding our child, started understanding autism, we developed our son. We became the expert for our son. So when I meet other parents, when they first diagnosis, one of the things I think that's most important is to have compassion with the parents to take in at one time. I think as a coach, as a mentor, as a tutor, as a friend, you have to be compassionate to people at that particular time. So our program comes from the standpoint of being compassionate, understanding exactly what they're going through. Although our stories, but they may be going through other emotion that I didn't experience. So for me as a coach, I would compassion towards them, find out exactly, evaluate the process and see how can I best help. Because I do understand that there's a lot of fear when you get that diagnosis. There's a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety.
Right. And there's fear and also there's distrust, I don't know if this person really understands me. I don't know if this person really has my best interest because you've got so many different suggestions out there. So which one is the right one? And oftentimes parents, because there are so many suggestions, they've tried 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3 didn't work. So how can I trust you that number 4 is going to be right? So how do you help build that trust with parents?
Us in particular is I am just like them. The road that they're traveling, the journey they're on, I've already traveled that road. I've already been there with the diagnosis. I had the frustration with myself coming to terms that my child is on the spectrum. So I've already, they are now starting to travel and I can understand where they are. And with me, I can understand them not, trust me in the beginning because you don't know who to trust. There's a lot of information going on. It's to be as authentic as possible about the journey that we went through as a family. Hopefully we can slowly start to build a relationship and build a mutual agreement how we can go about helping them to move forward.
Yes. And Kerry, you get a lot of people who want to offer advice, friends, loved ones. They love you. They love you. They care about you. They want to offer you advice, but they don't have a clue about autism. And so the way you raise a neurotypical child is not necessarily the way you raise a child with autism. So, finding a coach who understands and can be empathetic and sympathetic to some of the challenges is huge.
Correct. No, it is. I mean, I that I had someone to walk me through the process, or someone who understood not just from the aspect of, but someone who had been through the journey and just let me know, just to reassure that, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to take one day at a time. We're going to develop strategies, and we're going to get you and get your child where we want to see them school, whether it's get a job, being able to take care of themselves. We're going to take it one step at a time, and we're going to celebrate the small miracle. We're going to make the most of this journey. When it comes to fear, we're going to learn to embrace it. We're going to face it, and we're going to learn to develop strategies to help us overcome those fears.
Right. Because Kerry, one of the things that I always say is, you can understand your child, you can do the work, etc. But if you don't have the environment that's conducive, right? If you don't have a productive environment to bring them into, then you're going backwards. So someone who has exposure to the physicians, the therapists, the support groups that can actually help and move you forward instead of sideways and around, that's also very, very key. Because once again, like I said, if you don't have a supportive environment, it's just like, pouring water into a hole with a bucket in it. I mean, no, a bucket with a hole in it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I agree. It's important for, if there are two parents in the home, for everyone to be on the same page, to find a school environment on the same page, to find therapists, doctors that are on the same page. But unfortunately, I don't think for the most part it's going to start out that way. You're going to have to go through maybe 1, 2, 3 different schools. And also that could be a difference in belief and different in approaches when it to parents. Just think that you just have to keep going and not give up.
Right, right. And I have 2 children with autism, and they are completely different with engagement, completely different with skills, ability, etc. So when you've seen one child with autism, you've seen one child with autism. How important is, so we're talking about going from autism awareness to autism acceptance, right? And we're also talking about going
Mhm.
from parent education to parent training. So there's one thing about hearing it, you know what I mean? Reading the books and studying, etc. But there's another thing about getting your hands dirty and getting in there and getting involved with the children. How do you feel about parent education, parent training, getting involved? Like what are some of your thoughts?
One of the first things that I talk about in the Autism to Awesome, allow your greatest Christ to become your greatest miracle. I start out with these special intervention techniques. And one of the first things that the book is mindset. And mindset come down to, how is your, what's the state of mind? What do you believe? What are you thinking every day? So you want to talk about, are you able to step back, first of all, and see the beauty in your journey, see that this for you to help your child, but also it's an opportunity for you to develop yourself. And I really believe if you can see this as an opportunity to develop yourself as a better person, a better parent, you're going to be that much better for your child. But if I think every time that we tell our story to it, we can tell our story in a negative way, and that's going to add power to it, or we can tell it in a positive, enlightened way, and that's going to add power. That's going to project us forward.
Mm, excellent. I was going to ask you, when we're talking about, once again, parent engagement and parent involvement, do you see parents doing things more actively with kids or less actively with kids? So one of the things I hear is, parents just wanting to take the kids and drop them off. And I understand needing a break, but I also understand that there's a great deal of importance in getting engaged and being engaged with your child and getting, like I said, getting to know your child, because it's harder to be an advocate for your child, a true transparent advocate, if you don't know your child.
Correct. Here's what I suggest. You're going to do something wrong. A lot of time people want to go to the experts because they feel that they don't know. And granted, when you start out, you don't, but you have the opportunity to learn. But I get involved, number one, with the school. How's the kid being treated at the school? There's a school called IEP, to individual program plan that parents can go step by step with the educators at the school to go, let's set some goals for our child and let's help him. But also, even in the community, parents, especially when I look at, I talk about fathers, they can participate, coach in basketball, soccer, to get involved with their son, their outside of the school setting. I believe sports is a great opportunity to teach our kids the communication, when it comes to appropriate behavior, when it comes to building self-esteem. The things I think that sometimes we're to the school setting, but the parents can take it upon themselves to get involved and see the kids are enjoying certain things. If it's not sports, maybe it's dancing, maybe it's music, maybe it's making a video. There's so many things that we can do as parents to get involved that we're not going to get in an environment. But parents, we must be the first ones to respond. It's up to us. We're our children's biggest advocate. So we must be out there every day doing our very, at the end of the day, it's going to help us so much more to develop personally as well.
Yes. And you know what, Kerry, not everybody knows everything. So some people are going to be better at sports. Some people are going to be better at IEP. Some people are going to be better in different areas. So whatever your expertise is, definitely delve in there and get support where you may not be an expert. I know as a teacher, one of the things that was, and I, getting my master's in education, one of the biggest things is a lot of parents don't show up to IEP meetings. And the question was, why don't they show up to IEP meetings? And it isn't what you think. It isn't necessarily that they don't care about their kids. It's just that the IEP process can be very complex. Just think about it. You're in a room with 6 or 7 or 8 people, PhDs, etc., and they're all throwing out this jargon or acronyms about autism, and you may not have that type of extensive, knowledge of these acronyms and the phrases that they're using and all that other kind of stuff. So you go in the room and you're in there and you're saying something and you're one person and you've got 7 or 8 people with a different opinion, that can be burdensome and that can be daunting and that can be like, my son's never going to make it out of here, or my daughter's never going to make it out of here. So even a way to simplify the IEP process, even if there's steps, like I've worked with parents on steps to better understand the IEP process and how to prepare for those meetings. And when these terms come up, this is how you respond, etc. Because I don't know that a lot of support or prep is given to parents so that when they go into that room, is not an overwhelming experience. You think about it, you're with a child all day, morning, noon, and night, and that can be overwhelming in some ways because you don't have the support you need. And then you go to the school and there's another layer on top of that. So just making sure that you get the supports, whether it's your group or someone else, making sure that you get the supports to be what you need to be in each environment. And like I said, if you're a great athlete, get out there and definitely do things with them, because the key is a lot of times repetition. What do you think about repetition?
I always repetition, not competition. Repetition and not competition. Don't compare you to someone else. And one of the things with our program that we do is this: I understand how it can be intimidating, but my whole thing is to be embarrassed. This is where you're going to learn the most. Don't be afraid to fail. So everyone can succeed at something, and that comes down to just doing it over and over again and educating succeeded. But allow yourself to fail. Allow yourself to go out and say, I don't know. Flame to this. Can you afraid? Don't remember that. And it's going to take time to go through it several times over and over, where they have you and make you and help you to understand. If they don't, they're not doing a good job. If someone can go, Kira, I don't understand. So what, I can't help you. No, my goal, my mission is to help you understand how you can go about helping yourself and helping your child. And I want to be able to break it down where you can understand, no matter how to explain it. So don't worry about being embarrassed. Put yourself out there because that's where you're going to learn the most.
Right, right. And even if you're going to the IEP meeting or whatever, and you're trying to explain it to parents and they don't, trying to explain it to the IEP persons in the IEP team, finding different ways of communicating. So, some people may need to write it out. They may need to write diagrams. Some people may be able to verbally express themselves. Some people may need to come in and bring pictures to show, what's going on. But finding your mode of communication, finding your style, finding what works best for you, and then getting in and doing the work. Like I said, not everybody feels strong in a certain way, but somebody might be a great photographer or have an ability to snap some great pictures of their sons or daughters doing some great things, or bring in some great videos of things that they're not doing in school. So whatever your gift is, whatever your interest is, make it work. Make it work. You are empowered. You are able. It doesn't mean it's gonna be easy. Doesn't mean it's gonna be like Kool-Aid, add water and stir.
That's what I was about. Listen, that's exactly what I was about to say. I'm not telling anyone that this is an easy road, but to have someone to be with you by your side, to coach you, to mentor you, to help you come up with strategies, because they're outside looking in. You're giving them a story. They're outside looking in, and they can without so much emotion involved. That's going to be a huge help. And no matter who you decide with, the school, the doctors, it's just so important to build a relationship. And no matter what you do, it's important to have a relationship. So once you start building that relationship, if they're authentic interest, they're going to want to understand what you're going through, and they're going to want to understand they best help you. If they don't, it's time to get someone else. Building
just
a
like
team,
you did.
building a
just
not
like
only
you did.
just me, but yeah, absolutely. But not only just me, there are so many people doing good work there, but and people they're empower you. They're not going to say, get over, they're going to empower you. So it's like, let's find yourself a group that's going to empower you, that's going to uplift you, that's going to be you take one day at a time and keep you motivated to go on and on, because we all need to be uplifted.
Right. No, I didn't mean like just calling on you. What I meant was just like you did, like you went to a physician, you didn't get the response that was going to be productive for your son
absolutely.
and for your family. So you have to seek out the best place for you. And a lot of times that's the best place. That's the place that's going to hear you and you're going to hear them. One of the things I was looking at recently, did you know the strongest man in the world is autistic?
No, I did not know that.
His last name is Stolman, Stolman, right? And basically what he was saying is he was a kid that was in school. He was, shy. He was autistic, typical autistic symptoms. But his brother kept him going to the gym and working out. And he liked working in the gym, going to the gym and working out because there was no one criticizing him. It wasn't noisy. It wasn't loud. He didn't have to get embarrassed if he didn't do things the right way. He was independently progressing. And so he and his brother are in those strongman competitions, but he's stronger than his brother, or the strong, whatever. And so what he was saying is that it was because of his brother's support, and his mother went to advocate for him, and the doctors were telling him, look, the mother doesn't know what she's talking about. And his thing was, or the mother's thing was, well, if you think I don't know what I'm talking about, I'm just going to go to another doctor. I'm going to go to another doctor. But because of their tenacity, And because of their understanding of what the son's capability was, he's the strongest man in the world.
Right. Wow. That's a fantastic, and I have on this, but I have heard mothers say that sometimes, they feel like they're not being heard, whether it's with the school or whether it's with the doctors or the medical field as well. So maybe you can share some, you talk to other people, you've experienced this yourself, but how do you feel about when the not being heard? You feel like that's a adequate?
I think, honestly speaking, that autism, even though they say it's been around for a while, it's still new. It's still new.
Mhm.
And when you look at the average doctor, the average doctor has about 3,500 people on their caseload, general practitioner, 3,500 people on their caseload, where they really should have about 1,000 people on their caseload. So when somebody goes to a GP saying that their child has a unique situation, doctors are overwhelmed. Do you know what I mean? You have 15 minutes to see a patient.
Correct.
When you go to a psychiatrist is taking the notes from the teachers, notes from whomever, and they're using those notes to make a diagnosis, and they have 15 minutes, and they might get some outside opinions, but what has been stated from the school is going to be way more heavily because the teachers are spending an extensive amount of time. Teachers have 35 kids in a classroom, and I can tell you, it is not like Mary Poppins. The classroom's not like Mary Poppins. So when you have a child who's an outlier child, it's not like you're going to say, that kid is Doogie Howser. You're going to say that kid is disruptive, whether the kid is autistic and curious and asking questions that the teacher doesn't know the answer to, which is very real. Teachers don't like being embarrassed by kids that know more than they do or ask questions that they can't answer. Not me, because I like teach me, but some teachers don't like that. So when you got all these different dynamics going on, the key is communication. And if you're not in an environment which is ready to receive new information, it's going to be harder for you to express the unique gifts and opportunities of your child.
Right.
So I
Well,
think
let me
that
ask you this. You're out there, you're working hard, strong, dynamic, intelligent person.
who me? Say it again. Say it again. I didn't hear you.
The strong, motivated, and intelligent person. What keeps you going to want to help and continue to help?
It's going to sound really silly. The thank yous. The thank yous. When people say thank you,
Mm-hmm.
and they are people who are stressed out or having a tough day, and I know that I've made a difference, that I can make somebody happy, positive, hopeful, go home, give more to their kids, give more to their community, make doctors rethink, things that, even though you're overwhelmed, make them go research something, look up something, and have a different opinion to give another child hope. It's the thank yous. That's what does it for me.
Wow, that's powerful. That is very powerful. So I just want to say then, for everyone help, for the conversation that we've shared and that we say thank you, because you do make me think. Every time we do a program, I've always write down the notes afterwards, like how can I use this next time to help enlighten someone else? So I want to say thank you.
Okay, you were not supposed to make me cry because I'm gonna lose some cool points, but
Cool, you're cool.
You're welcome.
All the time. Listen, I tell parents, when you need to cry, cry. I mean, it's refreshing to get everything out, to be authentic. It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry.
It most definitely is. It most definitely,
Yes.
because whatever is going to help you to move forward and help you, help your child, help your marriage, help whomever, do that. And as long as it's constructive, like don't do nothing that's gonna get you in trouble with the law. I don't want to know about that. But if it's something that's constructive and productive,
Right.
tears are constructive, laughter is constructive,
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, that's another thing for me is laughter. If you can look at things and find some humor, because you realize that that thing that was a challenge is one particular point in time in life. There's so many points in life. There's so many more situations that are coming along. And that one thing,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe I didn't do 100%, but I learned and I'm moving forward and it's all good.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I'll tell you a quick story. My younger son, because I have but my younger son, this was like right after they started letting people go back outside, for COVID and everything. And things were restricted for a time. So we got a chance to go outside and go to the park. And he just took off running. And I just sat back and watched him run. And I was like, the beauty. It was a nice of seeing him look back, laugh, running, to be outside, to be free. I mean, it just brought tears to my eyes, because you just don't realize what you don't have it anymore until you don't have it. So seeing him outside, if we didn't have the pandemic, that's something I would have taken for granted. But now seeing him just run free, almost like a TV movie, the wind in his hair and everything. So it was just poetic. And I'm like, God, thank you. Just thank you for allowing me to be just magic.
Mm-hmm. And to see that day, day.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Kerry, I was going to ask you before we close, what would you say is the one or one, two, or three, whatever, most pressing thing that you see parents come to you with? Like, what do you think is most pressing in this day environment for people raising children with autism? And I know you said you see people at different ends of the spectrum. People who are just recently diagnosed, people who have hit some some impasses, but whatever it is, what's pressing?
I would say the number one thing that people talk to me most about, parents, grandparents, is fear. People fear, what does the future look for their child? Will they have friends? Will they grow up to get married? Be healthy? Who's going to care for them when the parents are no longer around? And we could describe fear as false evidence appearing real. But in the minds of special needs kids, it's very real. And my strategy for get through the fear, to get over the fear, is to face it, to embrace it. And if I talk about, imagine and recondition the misconception about autism, because there's some powerful out there where people have been successful at helping their children reach their highest level, to reach their. And I think that we need to think about this more, that there are things that we can do to help our period. There's always stories out there that are not favorable. That's whether they're neurotypical or not. But as parents of special needs children, we have to rethink, condition the misconception about autism. You just talked about the strongest man in the world. I mean, you just talked about the strongest man in the world. One person that keeps you going is all you need. And then you find two, and then you find three. Then you got enough motivation to keep yourself going. I tell my boys, like, listen, if you don't believe that I believe in you until you can believe in yourself. So having one person that believes in you, that can get to the point where you believe in yourself, just keep going with it. So that's what I hear from most of the parents.
Is that they're looking for that for some type of inspiration. One of the things I will say with autism is it's amazing how, yes, the strongest man in the world is autistic, but there's an autistic race car driver. There's a famous autistic chef. He's got a site. Pokemon, the inventor of Pokemon, is autistic. Daryl Hannah from the movie Mermaid or something, Splash, from the movie Splash.
Splash, yes.
Is autistic. There's so many. Tommy Hilfiger has 3 children with autism. And you're hearing it over and over again. And I'm just, I'm glad that there are role models in different arenas so that people don't have to look to one area and say, that's it. Like beforehand, it was like, if they don't do IT, if they're not IT experts, then that could be a challenge. And now they have more people doing IT with the pictures and the pixels and understanding, the variations and the grains. They have just all different kinds of careers. I was speaking with a gentleman who oversees a program called TACT, TACT in Colorado, and he's looking to expand his program, but he teaches kids on the spectrum, severe to high functioning, how to become trades, different trades like mechanics and builders and tools and that kind of stuff. And, I think a part of overcoming fear is, let's say I wanted Johnny to be a football player, right? My son, I wanted my son, Johnny, whoever Johnny is, to be a football player. When I found out he's autistic, I lose hope in him becoming a football player. So
Absolutely.
if I always talked about football, having that son that played football, etc., having more role models or more individuals with successful outcomes in various careers now opens up that world so that, Johnny can be a plumber, Johnny can be an artist, Johnny can be a dancer, Johnny can be an actor, Johnny can be, so having all those different things out there and not just one scope in life can be advantageous. And like I said, and I don't know if I said this, but having someone such as you is phenomenal, because I know I was a deaconess when my children were diagnosed, and a lot of people who love me, lot. And they were giving me all these suggestions. I mean, it was just, try this. And we live in microwave society. So I would try it. They're thinking in 2 weeks, my kids are going to be cured. I'm thinking in 2 weeks, my kids are going to be cured, and they're not cured. So, that's another letdown and another letdown and another letdown. And after you've had 50 letdowns, it's hard to find 51, and that might be where the fear comes in. So I wanted to say that I think what you're doing is phenomenal, because you can capture people at the beginning, you can capture people at the middle, you can capture people at 51. And you having the experience of, parenting a child with autism who's successful is just phenomenal. Right now, we're starting to look into.
I appreciate it. Listen, thank you. I will say this when it comes to, because I wanted my son, I'm heavy. I wanted my son to be into sports, and he wasn't. But one thing that I had to do as a parent was to let go of my ego, to leave my ego at the door and allow my son to be himself. And he's a great artist. He's not a football player. I was. He played sports for the engagement of other kids his age, because there weren't many play days or others, but if I got him in this other little boys, other little girls that were his age that he could engage with, that he could communicate with, and he became good at sports, so it boosted his self-esteem, which carried over into the classroom where he graduated from high school. So my thing is, I had to let go of my ego. It was about his life and not about my life. So that's also what I talk. That's what I talk. What is he or she good at? What do they like? Let's find out what do they like and how we can go to help them get through school, maybe even college, or even have a career in it, whether it's dance, music, art, whatever. Have a career these days, it's not even funny. So it's like we don't have to put them, in a box. Use our imagination. Let's rethink, reimagine, and recondition. I mean, what if everything that we learn from childhood is wrong? What if it's wrong? What if it's wrong? What if we never question the way we think? What if we never question what we were taught from day one, and we just go through life thinking, this is what? No, we have to question everything, and that's what our son did for us. They make me rethink and re-question everything, and I see it, and they got whole different imagination. I'm like, yeah, that is a possibility. I never thought about it that way, but that is a possibility. So that's why I get involved with parents of any kids, but especially when it comes to special needs, because concerns, and I want to see if I can help them to rethink, and then we can come up with some strategies that's going to help people to their full potential. You know,
Right.
that's what I love. That's what I love about to see young people, you know, succeed, to see them excel, to see them do something they thought they never could do. And the light goes off and the parents see it, you know, they're on board. They're on board then, you know, makes it easier, makes it easier then.
I love it. And everybody's excited. And guess what? It's not textbook. It's not, is working with kids with autism, working with parents with autism is not textbook community. It's really once again, like you said, exploring those things that seem like a no, it's like a why not? Or how can we get to them? You know, is there an alternate path to get
Exactly.
there? So
Exactly.
Kerry, you are phenomenal in so many ways. I just thank you for all you do. I thank you for your passion, your drive, that big old smile, and that Donnie McClurkin look.
For everything, you're dynamic. Keep doing what you're doing. You're smart, you're intelligent, and guess what? You made such a difference in so many people's lives. I sincerely appreciate you. You may never hear this, but I'm telling you, you're making a huge difference, and we need you. So continue the good work. Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you, Kerry. Be good.
You too.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.